Welcome back. The Bronx Edulution features educational content through a partnership between BronxNet and educators, artists, and community members across the Bronx. In order to continue ensuring hashtag equity for all during remote learning, new episodes have begun airing for you and your family to enjoy right here on your BronxNet channels and on the web. Joining us now to tell us more are Bronx educator Vanessa Veerasammy and principal of PS 110, Marisol Feijoo. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course. So first to start off, can you tell us about the Bronx Education and how and why it was launched at the beginning of the pandemic?
So the Bronx Edulution was created through a partnership between BronxNet and the educators, along with our community members in the Bronx. And it has a great deal of educational content for students and our families. So this all started, or it was birthed during the beginning of the pandemic of March of 2020. Once we received the message that our school buildings were closing and we had to transition to remote, we had to think quick. How are we going to provide our students with instruction and equitable and in an equitable and engaging way?
Thank you for sharing, Ms. Veerasammy. And of course, COVID-19 has exacerbated the lack of digital equity in our communities. And the digital divide is something that we often speak about on our show. Can you just tell us how this has continued to impact both students and educators here in the Bronx? As educators yourself, you would be, the best folks to ask about this.
I think that nobody could have forecast the impact of COVID-19. And clearly, before the pandemic, there were many inequities that existed within our community in terms of access to technology, and access being not just having possession of a device, but really understanding how to log in, participate in technology, right? So everything related to it. So one of the things that we realized, that the world, I would say, realized, that came to the forefront was this equity issue when it came to our families and our communities. So, you know, Principal Louis Torres, being a pioneer, and his staff at PS 55 really, brought to the forefront the importance of having a partnership with BronxNet, and not just within one school, but providing it within our entire district. So in PS 110, we share the similar community, similar population, and the opportunity for our families to know that not only is it the school that can provide some of the supports for their access and to continue the education of their kids at home during this time, but also that they had access to BronxNet, and in a different avenue where they can be provided with videos, anything from content related, so read aloud, math lessons, science experiments, but also more of a social emotional focus areas as well. So moving towards like cooking together, and activities during this pandemic that you can engage in with your families at home, since we are all pretty much at home, and also some other activities and exercises that will continue, that are part of this learning process, but are not necessarily what you would consider just standard lessons, content area lessons.
Right. Thank you, Principal Feijoo. And I think the programming on Bronx Education is wonderful. And for the family, for the entire family, really, it cheered me up, especially during the beginning of the pandemic, to see, teachers and educators like Ms. Veerasammy, for instance, who has her story time. Can you tell us a little bit more about your show in particular and the rest of the content that airs on the Bronx Education, Ms. Veerasammy?
Yes, so story time with Miss Veerasammy features myself, my daughter, and also a puppet called Dr. Adams. So my read alouds are interactive. We take the students on a virtual journey and we explore everything literacy, such as we focus on vocabulary words and writing and thinking and learning about homonyms and homophones and things that you would learn in the classroom, but now in a more fun and interactive way virtually. In addition to that, Education channel, as Ms. Marisol was speaking of, there are instructional videos that are in different content areas, such as math, there's science, there's social studies, and even the cooking arts, the list goes on. And you might tune in and see a science teacher doing a STEM experiment, which is really cool. And then what's really great about that is because now the students can submit their work and have it seen on BronxNet Edulution channel. So
Ooh,
it provides a really good opportunity for us families.
that's amazing. And what has the reception been from parents and students who watch and depend on this educational programming from home?
So the parents and the students especially, they love that they're able to turn on the channel and they're like, that's my teacher, or that's my school, or even, oh my goodness, that's my work that I submitted. So having that sense of familiarity and being able to relate.
That's amazing. And, as we know, BronxNet airs on cable and online as well. Roughly how many families do you estimate have access to this content? And what does it mean to educators like yourselves to reach the Bronx and beyond through this programming?
I think it's very meaningful. Most of our families do have access. And not only, as we were saying before, it started, it was spearheaded in one area, one location, but it's really expanding now across the Bronx with different schools now participating in submission of content and videos across the district. So providing even more expansive access to our Bronx families from different neighborhoods. And that's something that's great to see, just the evolution of the evolution across the Bronx. And our families and the reception I've gotten from families at my school in particular is similar to what Vanessa was saying. It's, oh, okay, this is great. I recognize, that's my teacher. But also having content that is accessible and relatable. So, and also fun. We have to really remember to infuse that joy, given the severity of the pandemic and how it's impacted all of us. So to be able to turn on programming that is accessible and participate in activities that bring joy into this situation is absolutely amazing. And I'm excited to just be a participant in terms of the expansion of the programming across the Bronx.
And for you both, what is the current situation at your individual schools? I know Principal Feijoo is at PS 110 and Miss Veerasammy is over at PS 55. Are the schools fully remote, in person? Is there a merge of the two? How's it going over in your individual schools?
So currently at CS 55, we have students who are remote, and then we have students who are on an AB schedule. They do a blended learning.
At PS 110, approximately 65% of our student population is fully remote currently. And the remaining population is, we started off with a hybrid model of, 2 days in person, 3 days remote and vice versa. And as of January 4th, all our classes are 5 days a week in person. However, the reality is that when you have multiple confirmed cases within the building, the school building does close down. And that's when all families have to transition back to fully remote. So that's the reality we have been facing as school leaders.
Thank you both so much for joining us today. And before we go, I just want to invite families and students and parents and teachers to tune in to the wonderful Bronx Education, the new season that's coming up. And also thank you and the many teachers and educators and Principal Luis Torres, the Bronx principal, for spearheading this effort and this initiative with BronxNet. So thank you all so much for putting your love and your time and your energy into this incredible project. Without further ado, where can people tune in? How can they find out more and all that good stuff?
So Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., BronxNet channel 67 and 70 Optimum, and also 2133 and 2136 on FiOS.
Perfect. Thank you so much. One last thing, if each of you can just provide a quick message to students and parents and even your fellow educators during these times.
I just would like to say that, to remember to just keep moving forward. We have learned to be flexible, and with everything that is challenge, there comes a new opportunity for growth and for learning, as we saw now just with Bronx Education that evolved as a result of this pandemic. So just to keep your head up, keep looking forward and know that we're all in this together and we will surpass and overcome this together as well and come out stronger as a result.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also stay Bronx strong.
Woo! Thank you both so much. Principal of PS 110, Marisol Feijoo, and Miss Vanessa Veerasammy is an educator here in the Bronx at CS 55. Thank you both again for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Again, new episodes of the Bronx Education began airing again beginning Monday, January 11th. You can tune in to the Bronx Education on BronxNet channel 67 Optimum 2133 files and 70 Optimum 2136 files in the Bronx, and also online at bronxnet.tv Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. We'll be right back with Open BXRx.